Hey there folks, and welcome to this video. Here I'm going to be talking about everyone's favourite organisation in motorsport, the FIA. The international sanctioning body behind series such as the F1 World Championship, the World Rally Championship, the Formula E World Championship, the World Rallycross Championship, basically any kind of World Championship sanctioning body. Outside of, the United States, because it's a bit like the NFL, where if you win the Super Bowl, you're declared the world champion, but the only teams are in the United States. Don't know why, that just happens to be the case. But the FIA went through a change at the end of last year, a change in president, with Mohammed bin Sulayem taking over. Robert Reid is his vice president, and there has been a shake-up in the order. I believe it was Tom Bassis in the single-seater department got shuffled around. In addition to that, Yves Maton, the rally director, left, supposedly over a difference in terms of vision with the president of the FIA. And for every F1 fan, there's all that speculation about a certain Australian who likes to talk about going motor racing. But let's put a pin in that for a moment. I've been surprised about how little conversation has been about bin Sulayem. But at the same time, I haven't been, because it's talking about the actual politics of motorsport, rather than where the politics of the real world interact with the politics of this whole insulated industry. And within this industry, the change in the president of the international organisation is a big deal. And especially in this situation. The last time we had a change in FIA president was, way back in 2009, when John Todt took over from Max Mosley. Mosley had been president for quite a while, and when Todt came in, he was actually supported by Mosley, and the likes around Mosley, such as Bernie Ecclestone. Todt had run against Ari Vatanen at the time. Ari Vatanen, the rally driver, actually a MEP, so a member of European Parliament for his native Finland, so has a political career outside of the politics of motorsport. And he was a massive coup for the FIA to have, because it meant that everything could continue as planned under Mosley. When Mosley stood down, everything that was happening in every other department could stay the same, because Todt was going to follow on from what Mosley had done. He had his own kinds of bits and pieces he wanted to do, like road safety, for example, that he accomplished. Other little bits and pieces, but nothing in particular there was of standout note. It was this is very different to what Mosley is doing. Now, bin Sulayem wasn't Todt's pick. There was an actual close presidential election. And it was, what's his name? I think it's Graham Stoker, who ran against bin Sulayem, who was the vice president for Todt. But there were many national sporting bodies. I think even the British body, Motorsport UK, backed bin Sulayem over Stoker, which was quite odd considering Stoker had a background in club rallying in the UK. And, he's a Brit. But for people like Motorsport UK's David Richards, they didn't particularly look much at things like rallying and also other world motorsports. With bin Sulayem, you have somebody of a rallying background who showed his mettle by testing one of the new Rally 3 cars out of the Bahrain Rally last year. And his vice president is Robert Reid, who has been big on motorsport safety, especially in rallying, and of course is the voice that you hear whenever you play Richard Burns Rally, the co-driver for the late great British English World Rally Champion, the only World Rally Champion from England, Richard Burns. Reid himself is a Scotsman, but Burnsy is a national icon, especially in the world of motorsport. He's of a different kind of status to McRae, but quite similar to McRae in that one-time champion should have been able to accomplish a lot more had his life not been tragically cut so short. It's a different kind of way to say how Lewis Hamilton is the statistical greatest of all time. But, yeah, bin Sulayem means such a change. And I think it's important to talk about that when we look at things like Abu Dhabi, because the first thing they forced him into was to say how to sort this whole situation. The F1 motorsport is very insulated. There's very little that changed in the industry, and this is actually quite a big shake-up. With Yves Maton departing the FIA after the WRC agreed their new pyramid, or the rallying body agreed their new pyramid from Rally 1 down to Rally 5, that shows that there's going to be a change there. And Bin Sulayem as well, in terms of his own personal attitudes, he's not looking at keeping things exactly the same, much like Tot did. Like, if you think about it, under Tot's reign, we had the late Charlie Whiting be race director, and when Charlie Whiting passed, it was given to the person who was going to take over from Whiting, which was Massey. Nothing was said about it. That's just where we went. And sure, Massey has made some mistakes, some really bad mistakes in some cases. I'm not talking about Abu Dhabi here, but for a lot of people, they'd put Abu Dhabi as probably the worst one. I wouldn't, because there's definitely some concerns over things like safety and letting cars out on track in places like, well, in Turkey, when there was a tractor on the track, he decided to just let them out during a qualifying session. But the fact of the matter is, if Stoker had stayed in, Massey, we wouldn't be having this conversation to the same degree, because they would have been like, yeah, Massey is the successor to Whiting. We want to keep things the same. But under Bin Sulayem, we see so much of a difference, because all of a sudden, it's like, well, this guy's already changed how rallying is, or is looking to change it. He's already changing some of the things in single-seaters. He's going to potentially upset the apple cart of F1 stability. Well, it's not going to be stability, it's just going to be the same people in the same jobs, but there's every chance that those same people might not be in the same jobs. And I hope that that's the main thing we get from this. Like, even if Massey stays, and I think that's most likely going to be a solution, because, to be honest, as much as he's made mistakes, the reason why the role was designed the way it was because Charlie Whiting was doing it. Without Charlie there, nobody else is going to be able to work like Charlie does. You might need to have 4 or 5 people doing that job, which might be a good idea, actually. Means that you're not going to try and go after one fella for making a mistake and make sure that one fella doesn't have to make the decisions. It also means there's every chance you could have more consistency, which is something that the F1 teams want. So the thing is, and this is the point that I want to make with this video, if we're talking about the politics, because motorsport is political, this is just the kind of politics that's traditionally involved in motorsports as opposed to, you know, real-world politics. But more and more these are going closer and closer intertwined again. They happened before, they will be again, they will continue to be. Because, well, we have to be now. We don't have the kind of insulation of, oh, this exists in its own sphere, because in a world where we're talking about the climate crisis, in a world where we're talking about growing inequality, that reflects on motorsport massively. And the people at the top want to be more conscious of that. I think what we need to understand is politics is actually a thing. And it's a good thing to engage with. Just need to understand how each politics is different to another politics. And we need to understand as well that, especially if you're somebody who thinks that Massey should go, and not even over being about the Abu Dhabi race, but about any other issues that he's had in his tenure. If he's given the lifelines of having other people to work with him and around him and for him, you have to see how that works first. You don't go into an industry and then just go and sack everybody. That's how you make it collapse. You make sure that the best people are in the best roles. So maybe Massey is suitable in a role that's different to what Whiting did. Doesn't mean he can't direct a race. He might just need an extra couple of checks and measures to make sure he doesn't make some really big mistakes. Those are my thoughts, though. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you around. So, yeah. Bye-bye for now.